Hi, I'm back. I don't know what happened, but the video ended. I didn't hit anything. I did have it up and open for about 20 minutes prior to going live, so maybe that's what happened. Um, I'll just wait and let a few people jump on again. I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad we weren't too far in. I was wondering because I was asking questions and nobody was answering. Hi, Barb. I was just saying I'm not sure what happened. I didn't touch anything, but I did start the video, or I prepped the video. Hi, Diana. Uh, Prior to hitting go live, so maybe it idled for too long. But oh, here we go. People are starting to come back in. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry about that. Not quite sure what happened. Well, I knew it would be just a matter of time before it happened, because it seems to happen to everybody who does lives at one point or another. And if it happens again, I will start a new live. So I was probably rambling on to myself, but I was saying the purpose of this class for anybody who joined me in the Stamperia coffee and chocolate line with my projects that I had done from that. I had left a bit of the end of the video to describe what today's about. So my thought process is, yeah, there's always a delay when starting up. There you go. Is that I will do gel press every 3 months at least. And during those sessions, we'll pull prints for the 3 months coming up. So today's going to be January, February, March. So by using the color box cards and pulling out some color palettes that go with those months, I was really to focus in and just gather the supplies that I needed. Typically, hi Linda, hi Judy. Typically, whenever I do gel press, it's like I pull out everything that I own, because there's not anything not acceptable for pulling prints. You can use whatever medium you have. You can use alcohol inks, you can use alcohol markers. The only product that I found was a bit challenging, and it wasn't that you can't use it, is the Distress line. The paint's beat up a little bit, and so does the inks, but you can still brayer it on and get a good effect. I like bringing those products in to finish my project. So today's prints are using cards from the Color Box series. This is card 660 for January colors. And I am just using paints for this session today. Maybe in the upcoming gel sessions, maybe the next 3 months, we'll do alcohol inks and pull from that. That might be fun. So some of the things that I have gathered is, and I spoke to you guys about it, so I have my paints in front of me with the colors, and then I also have some neutral colors that I will leave out on my table for all the pulls, just because neutral palette is very important to have. And you'll see when we get into the reds, like when we get into February, that's one of those intimidating colors for me. I don't like bright pink. I stay away from true red a lot of the times. So my neutral colors will help tone that down. So that's going to be great. The other thing are brayers, and I have all kinds of brayers. Is one better than the other? I can't say that. Some people that do a lot of gel press printing like the sprayer more, the Speedball one. They say it's just dense enough that it allows you to roll on your paints better. I can't really say I feel that way, but I'm happy to have all of these brayers, because what happens is eventually one will become too saturated with ink, and then I can just toss it in my bucket of water. So I do have a pan of water down by my feet as well. These tools are Diana Wakely. I took my glasses off, so forgive me. And what they look like brushes, but they're not. They're rubber tip. And that's the only thing with gel press printing. You cannot use anything sharp on your jelly plate. If you do, if you cut it, it's not that you can't use it anymore, but wherever that indent or slice is, it will always show up on your pull prints. For me, it wouldn't bother me. I would not throw away my gel print, my gel press, if I got a scratch into it. Even something as fine as pet hair or human hair, if it digs into your plate and then you take it off, it can leave a permanent mark. Those things don't bother me because I like the more distressed look anyway. But these are rubber tipped. They're not new. They've been out on the market for some time. If anybody wants any, please reach out to Heather. And it does allow you to make your own squiggles or marks within your paint easier and safely. This is also another brand. It's like a rubber paintbrush. And I use this when I'm doing a lot of gluing down, like in my art journals and things. These are really great to have. And then on the side, I went through kind of the stencils that I'll be using today on my other video. But along with those, I have other items that you can just find around your house. Little plastic solo cups. Again, just be mindful that it's not anything sharp. So this is going to make wonderful circles. And every time I say I'm making circles, I think of Heather, in that circles make her nauseated. So I kind of laugh about that. But I also have a little container. So this is a little sponge, makeup sponge, if I want to dab inside stencils. Dollar store. So if you go to your dollar store and just find anything that's texture, this is like a dishwashing sponge, but it would add texture. Ribbon. These flowers, we can put them into prints and then just take them off and you can throw them away. And it only cost me $1. So that's an easy way to make prints. This is another scraper tool that's rubber, more ribbon. And then this stuff, it's plastic canvas. So again, you can get it at the dollar store, but a lot of us would have done plastic canvas crafts back in the day, and you might still be doing them. So you can use that to make impressions. The other thing is painter's tape, like not painter's tape, but the crack filling tape. You can use that. And then I have a bucket of stamps. And I can use these stamps on my regular projects, but they're all of backgrounds. So I kind of keep this with my gel press. And I will use these stamps on my gel press. I just throw them in the pan of water and wash them. If paint happens to stick to them, I'm okay with that. And then bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is probably one of the easiest and funnest ways to get impressions on your gel prints. Are you with me so far? When nobody talks to me, I start fearing that I've lost you. Cheesecloth. Yep. We know what you're talking about, Erin and Barb. And then also on the side, I have larger stencils. This one's a new one that I picked up at Unique. It is Delusions. It says for art journaling, mixed media, paper projects. So I love that they're larger, so I could put this down on my 8x10 gel plate and get some great patterns over one press. And then I have like some large circles, some alphabets, and these again are kind of my full stencils, and they're big openings. So traditionally I don't use these on cards because the openings are too large. I could use them on scrap paper. I think a lot about dilusional items. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's get started. I think that's all the rambling. If you have any questions as we're going along, please ask. And if I'm not seeing them and someone has the answer, I never mind the chatter amongst yourselves. as long as I see some chowder so that I know that I'm still here. So we're going to start with some simple pulls. And these are my colors. So this is my chart. So I have, and I should have took, these are new as well. I don't have a lot of purples and blues and paints. I don't have a lot of paints in general, but the colors that I have had seem to work for me. Just hang on, I've got to get a pair of scissors. I'm definitely going to need this purple. So along with the stencil, I looked, see what kind of Dylusions paints were in the store, and I picked up some of those. These are great for that, because you're right, she does a lot of mixed media. So I know her paints are going to be fabulous. And what makes a paint fabulous is the viscosity of it, for sure. You don't want something really, really runny. However, as I say that, you're going to see me using some really runny products. And again, it's not that they won't work, but you don't get crisp pulls, especially if you're using stencils or stamps. My gosh, this is making me work to get off the... There, I think that's... Nope. I'm going to have to open it this way. Jumpins. Sorry about that. I should have had these done before we started live. Ooh, this is a vibrant, sparkly purple. Look at that. Did I read that right? Does it say something about sparkles? Shimmer paint. Well, I was just looking for the purple. This is extra bonus. Make sure you shake up your paints really well. And then this one must be probably a shimmer too. No, this is Periwinkle Blue. So I got a shimmer and I got a blue. And then I have some Deco Art paints here as well. Ooh, that's an awesome color. Yes, I think it's going to be very rich. I have no idea what the journaling pages are going to look like. My idea is we'll do a journal page. So my next class this month will be journaling. So we're going to use the prints from January and do some journal pages. So if you're not working with me today, please do some prints with this color palette or whatever color palette speaks to you for winter, January, and have that ready for our next class. So we'll do a January 2-page journal art, and then in February we'll do a February one, and then March a March one, and then in April we'll do gel prints for the next 3 months. Holy jumpins, that was hard to get off. See, it's not shaken up, so you can see the division in the color. It's supposed to be a periwinkle. So I have to shake this up really, really good. I'll shake a couple of them. See, I could have had that prepped. I wasn't thinking. Some of these have balls into them, some of them don't. Oh, look, I guess I'm starting with my light blue because I already got a splatter down. Better than having it explode on the way to you. You got that right, Diane. I have never had that happen, but I know it can. I really try to avoid ordering products that is being shipped to me during the winter months for that reason, like anything liquidy. Okay, I think I'm pretty much, for my neutrals, I have the Stamperia Old Ivory, which is really nice. They have them in groups of 5 or 6. I don't know if Heather still has them on the store site or not, but I had picked up a couple of those grouping. Their paints are really nice and thick. And then another Deco Art that's ivory, and then a gray. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up here. And we're going to start with this light blue. Less is more when you're gel art printing. It's easy to add more. It's very difficult to remove more. The other thing you have to have at your ready, which I do not, but I will, is a piece of paper. So I have a stack of paper to my right, but you need a piece of paper. That's what we call our rub off. So to clean your brayer in between, we don't actually clean it, or at least I don't. I clean it on my paper, and that's as best as it's going to be. I never wear an apron neither, but when I gel print, I do, because see, already I have ink everywhere, but that's okay. So I got my little card up, and then I do know that part of my journaling for January is I'm going to write down the card number that I used out of the color box, and put down the colors of paints. Now I know already that's not enough paint, but that's okay. And when you're gel printing, it's also important to remember whatever paint you put on first is what's going to show up on top. So this is just our beginning. And when you use your brayer, you're not going to just to do this. You're going to lift it in between rolls, and you can roll it whichever way you want. Okay, so this is what I mean by cleaning your brayer. That's all I'm going to do for that. So let's take this little spongy thing and just make some textures. And you do that when your paint is wet, because you want to lift the paint off of the gel press. And you really need to let your layers dry in between. Again, it's so that you don't drag the paint up with you. One thing you can do to make it quicker drying is, if you have a nice big stencil like this, you can put this down, take a clean piece of paper, and for today I'm just using copy paper, and I did explain why I was doing that. Generally I don't scrapbook with copy paper, it's too thin, but when you're pulling paint and then using those pulls on another project such as an art journal, I find it's good. After the paint pulls and dries, your paper does become somewhat thicker, so if you want to die cut from it, or if you want to layer in your journal, it just makes it easier. You don't have as much bulk. So there's a pull of just the paint that was seeping through the pattern. I'm not going to throw that away. That will become a pull for another layer. So I'm going to put that one aside. Lift up the stencil. And I'm not going to put my stencil in the water yet, because I might use that one again. But now we're going to add, because we put the stencil down, we picked up the paint that was in the stencil, and now that paint's dry. It does dry quite quickly. So now I'm going to add another layer. So let's add this purple shimmer. So what's going to happen is, even though the purple's going to be brayered on the entire plate, it's only going to really catch or show bright as true color into where we picked up the paint from the stencil. It's kind of, if you've never gel print before, it's kind of hard to get your head wrapped around it until you do it for yourself. Oh wow, this is a very, very pretty purple. And does it ever sparkle? You guys can't see it on camera, but it is sparkly. Now before this dries, I want to do a pull. So when you are ready to pull, you can't leave it dry completely. You don't want it so thick that your paper is sliding, but it needs to be wet enough that when you pull, it's going to lift everything behind. Now, I don't want my plate to be super clean when it lifts. If it is, that's all right. But I like when the plate gets a little bit dirty and has some of that residue color, because the pulls get more and more interesting. And if it's copy paper, you have to be a little bit careful. But there's number one. And I like that. I like the white space. So I know I'm not going to add anything on top of this one. So this one to me is done. And I love that we got all this stuff left on the plate. That purple is Dylusions. It is a wonderful, wonderful paint. It's nice and thick. And this one, it's the shimmer line. So I don't know how many, I thought I was just buying purple, but I'm very delighted to see it's the shimmer, because it's going to go wonderful with this wintry scene. And like, this paper is dry. So I'm going to set this one aside. I want to make a pile so that at the end we can show what everything that we pulled from. So now we're going to start fresh, but I already have that darker purple. So I'm going to go with a light purple. Actually, change my mind. I'm going to go with this blue. And you'll see, of course, it's another one that I don't have. Oh, jumpings. That I didn't pull the plastic off. But I really want it, so you guys are going to have to wait for me for a minute. Maybe if I do it this way, I can get it off quicker. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of paints. If anybody looks on my website, if I have a choice as to the color palette I'm going to navigate to, it's always going to be light, neutral, earth tone colors. The bright colors scare the heck out of me, and I don't use bright colors a lot. It's not that I don't like them. Everybody has a color palette that intimidates them, and for me, it's those bright colors. So this is just a soft blue. And like, already that's Deco Art, which is a pretty cheap paint. And already I can see the difference between it and the Dylusions. It's not near as thick. And it's going to take more paint to cover my plate, which is okay. I keep saying it's okay because there's nothing wrong. Now I'm going to pull from, oh, this one's going to be nice. I got a stack of stencils here for the January. I looked through my collection and pulled everything that I had that was kind of wintry, snowflake, and this is a brand new one. Again, a Dylusions stencil. And this one has the large snowflakes, which I think is going to be very, very nice. Thanks, Diane, for tagging the products there. That's helpful. Oh, I'm going to like this one. So my paint has already dried. So the last time we put our stencil down, the paint was wet and I lifted it. This time the paint is dry. The less viscosity your paint has, the quicker it's going to dry. So that was the case for this one. Now I'm going to use the other Dylusions that I have that I know it's going to be thicker. And this is Periwinkle. So this time the paint is going to seep into the stencil. Oh, and that's a good reminder for me. As you're stenciling, just be careful, like the paint will kind of make it slide a little bit. So you don't want it to move around too much, or else your image is going to become blurred, which isn't a big deal, because then you can still die cut. You know what, I think I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to take a little bit of this paint out on my sponge, and I'm going to work in the paint in the areas. That's probably going to do much better than a brayer. And by doing this, we can actually pick different colors. Look, I'm getting all kinds of ideas as we're doing this, because as I'm sponging it, it's drying. So I already know after I lift up the stencil, I'm going to have to put another color down. But then that's when your neutrals really come in handy, because your last color that you put down before you pull will be the very bottom color on your paper. So, oh, thanks, Karen. I think I'm going to really like them too. So by me putting like a neutral, an ivory, to make my pull, the ivory will be at the bottom and all this other color will be at the top. It's almost like we're creating in reverse order of what you're going to see. Okay, so that's periwinkle. And I have a little bit of this lighter purple that I think I'll cover up some other spaces. Like, you can get yourself lost. And I so love, this is my first time that I was really focused on a color palette, and that's why I bought the Color Box collections. And I know I've said it in posts, but the price that Heather had on was phenomenal. I bought them directly from the person that creates them, and I paid double what you guys paid for them. But I don't regret purchasing them, because doing stuff like this really helps me focus in on color choice, which is half the battle for me, because I tend to get overwhelmed in color. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up. Oh, look at that. Now there's one area that's smudged right there, and that was when I first laid it down, but I think this is going to be very pretty. So I just got to give this a minute to dry, and then we're going to put on the Stamperia Old Ivory, which is really nice and thick. So I know we're going to get a nice pull from that. So when you're brayering, it's brayer and lift, and let the brayer do the work. Go in different directions so that you make sure you're hitting all the layers. And you don't want it dried, but you just want it tacky. Are you feeling better, Diana? I know that you had an awful spell of your bronchitis, I think it was. And sometimes when your paint is still a little wet, especially if you're using copy paper, your paper will kind of curl a little bit on you, and that's okay, because it will. You guys are going to be seeing this before I do. Oh, that's pretty. I like it. I like it a lot. And you will see when we do our journaling why it's important to have a little bit of white and open spaces, because we're going to add more color in our journaling book, or at least in my mind, that's what we're going to do. Now there's still lots of pigment on here, so this time I'm going to use a gray, and I'm going to see if we can get another. Oh, this gray may not be any good. You get what you pay for, ladies. It looks like it's all, well, maybe I might get a little bit out, but it's kind of thick. Okay, and we're going to brayer that on, and I'm going to use this one to pick it up. What type of paper do you normally use? It depends on what I'm doing. So if often when I do gel prints, I'll do a whole day of just gel printing, or at least an afternoon, and then I put those prints aside. And for those, I use just copy paper, because I know I'm going to be doing other projects with them. If I think I'm going to be using my prints for like a pattern paper for a card front, then the Nina 60 pound, I believe it is, or the 80 pound. It's not the 100 pound, but the Nina that's the least weight, maybe it's the 80 pound, is really nice. You just want something that's smooth, like something that's really smooth. You can pull with textured paper, but you're always going to have that texture. So this is kind of muted gray. I really didn't see that much of the snowflakes, but again, I'm going to let that dry and we might do another pull with it. So from here, what didn't we use? Oh, let's try this one. Another newbie. This isn't new. I've had this in my stash for months. I say newbie just because the plastic isn't off of it. But just like I'm sure what you guys do, you see something, you get inspired, you buy it, and then it sits. And you're wondering, what am I going to do with it now? This is Lunar Paste. So another sparkly one. And I'm just going to take this little paintbrush. Remember, you don't want to use anything sharp. So if you use a pellet knife, make sure it's a plastic one. But this is Lunar Paste. And I know climates impact how fast your paints dry. We are a wood burning home in the winter, and I know my paints are going to dry super fast. This is very shimmery, very pretty. I'm just going to use a piece of this canvas, plastic canvas, to make some markings. And I don't wash that off, I just let it dry and I'll throw it back in my bin. What else can I use? It's winter, so where's my stencils that I had for winter? Right here. Oh, this is a nice one. I've had this one for a little bit. This is a Stamperia one. And it's snowflake border. So this one is called, does it give us a name? It's KSTDL83. That's the Stamperia one. So that one's nice. So we'll do a little winter border over on this end. Now what color should I put on top of that? Because that's sparkly already. Maybe I will do the purple because we still have some purple. And I find my edges is the last thing that will pull off. And sometimes it takes some work to get all of that off as far as a good layer of paint. My sponge is dry, so I'm just going to dab this on through the stencil. Anybody playing along, or are you all just watching? I tend to be a watcher too, so I completely understand that. Ooh, that's pretty. So for this one here, I'm going to see if I can fit a piece of paper over here, and I'm going to just take the print of that stencil so we don't lose that. And I'm going to brayer that down. So as you're pulling stencils off and depositing, look at that. Here, I'll bring it in somewhere closer. Like, this is an excellent start of another page. So don't waste the paint on your stencils. Just have a piece of paper handy and put it over. That would have looked really good on top of this one. That's more the gray. That would have looked really good there too. Okay, what else can we do with this one? I think I'm just going to let that dry. And I do have black, but I'm not going to use black. Just watching, but learning a lot. That's great. I'm new to gel printing. Well, I think we're all new unless you do it every day. It's just an art that every time you pick it up, you do something different, because there's no point in saying, can I do that? Yes, you can do it. Just do it. We don't know what the results are going to be like. So just do it and see what you get. So I think I need a little bit more paint. And if you put too much paint, just take some off your brayer. So this is just a white. And I'm going to put it a little bit heavier along the edges to see if I can get some of that border. You have all the supplies, but just haven't done it. Oh my gosh, Diana, you have to do it. And if you go by color, like, you know, pick a palette. I can't tell you how much that cuts down. Or pick a theme. It just cuts down on that procrastination of, do I pull everything that I own out? Because that's what I used to do. I'm trying to get the edge off. Oh, this one's pretty too. You're inspiring me, girl. That's good. Oh my gosh, look at that one. You can definitely see the sparkle. That is the lunar paste. And I have a couple in different colors. First time using it on the gel press. But it's definitely a yummy color. I like it. Okay, another one put aside. So that's like 1, 2, 3, kind of 3.5. The one with the gray, I'm not right stark on, but I think we just need to put more layers on top. So I'm looking at the stencils that I have. I'm going to top these ones that I've used so far in water. And you'll see some of my stencils have paint left on them from previous sessions, and again, that does not bother me in the least. It just means that they've been loved. I know that on the store right now there is some heavily discounted stencils. This is another kind of snowflake in dots. It's an Echo Park one. So if anybody out there needs some cheap stencils, so that if you do get them full of paint or something and you just want to dedicate them to your gel art, now's the perfect time to do that. So I think I'm going to go back to that shimmery purple. And I just want to create some darker color to put back on that gray background. Well, it's really not going to work with that. I just need to stick to this little sponge when I'm doing the stencils that are tiny. When you use stencils with large openings, then that's opportunity to then stamp inside of it. The fern one would be amazing. Oh yes, yes. I don't think there's a stencil made that would not be great for the gel press. There's no opportunity on small prints like this though to then stamp on top of it and lift. I'll see if I can use one of my larger ones. I will use one of my larger ones, and I'll show you what I mean by stamping through a stencil. Oh, that's pretty. And I'm going to do some more down here. And this is going to go on top of that gray print that I pulled that I wasn't really fussy about. And that's the thing too with using just copy paper. The texture of it changes so much the more layers you put on it that it does make it quite stiff. Now there's a couple of pulls that we did that I was very happy with them from the get-go, so I won't be adding anything on top. That paper is going to stay a little bit thinner, but it all depends on what you want to use it for. To clean this plate before we move on to our next set of colors, I think I'll pull out one of the Neenah heavier cardstock papers to see if I can get a cleaner pull from the edges, because that might be contributing to this sticking on if the paper isn't strong enough to handle it. Oh. And I'm going to take this. Now we're not going to get it all because it's dried a little bit, but I'm going to stencil, see what we can get. I just kind of left it mushy. But you'll see when we come to our gel print or our journaling that it really, we can make use out of it all. I'm just going to press these stencils down in my water. And all that paint is water soluble, so they'll come clean pretty good. The other thing you can use to pull prints from is parchment paper. So in my gel printing bin, I have my gel plate. I have this size, which is an 8 by 10. I have a 4-inch circle, and then I have a 5 by 7 one. I keep that in a bin. So the little bin is just a dollar store bin, and that's what my water is in. But I keep all my plates in there, all the stamps and these pieces of texture stuff that I use just for gel printing in there. Some stencils that I've kind of dedicated to gel printing in there. Not that I can't pull them out for other things, but they're in there. This is something else that is really neat. And so we all have dies. You can make wonderful little, it's almost like masks. Well, it is a mask. And you cut them out of, like this was leftover a thin chipboard. There's some in here that's from paper. And yeah, once I put paint over them, I might have to throw them away, but I will let them dry and see if I can reuse them. So we're going to put some of those down. And what color should we do? We're going to go back to the lighter color. And you're just going to put the paint all the way over these little stars. You might have to be a little gentle so that they don't move around on you too much. But what we're doing, like I said, is creating masks so that when we pull them up, hopefully we'll have a star pattern underneath them. So I have like a whole bunch of little envelopes with different shapes taken from my dies, and you can use any dies. I cut some from acetate. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pick these up and I'm going to put them up here to dry. Love that idea. And remember, I don't want to take tweezers to this because I don't want to nick it. And I don't know if you noticed, but when I laid my gel plate down, I just have a piece of white copy paper underneath it. And the reason I do that, well, there's two reasons. One, I want to make sure the surface is clean. And the other reason is that I can see through it. So I can kind of tell when I lift these little things, it's only white behind it, so I can kind of see what's happening under there. So I'm just going to give that a minute to dry, and then we'll put down another layer and we'll lift that. I almost want to try the black. What do you think? I want to try black. Do you want me to try black? I think I'm going to try black. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but I really don't like that grayish one. Like, I really don't care for this one. And it's a piece of paper and it's my time. Who cares if it's not good for anything? I never throw them away though. Go for it. I'm going for it, Barb. Even if I really hate them in the moment, I never throw them away. I've, to this day, have found a use for, like if you take a die cut or a die that you have and decide you want to die cut it with a pattern, then a little piece of jelly printed paper would do that. Can you imagine all those little hats that I did for those cards done out of jelly printed paper? Like instant design and impact. My paint wasn't right dry, but that's okay. Okay, let's see, girl. That's the gray one. It was a little bit wet, so I might have to give it a minute to dry. Don't take a heat gun to your jelly plate neither, to try to speed it up if you're in a climate where it's greater moisture in the air. It doesn't take long for it to dry. But you can't take your heat gun to it. Like, I've had this gel press for several years, probably going on 5 years, and it's still in pretty good condition. I'm peeking. Oh my, that's a little scary looking, Barb. But my gosh, I like these stars with the ink. It's that period. You know what? I might take these, save them, now that they're all inked up, and save them and maybe use them in our journal class. I think I will. This is fun craft when you do it. And you just want to play. That's right. When you have that brain freeze where you really don't know what you want to do, gel printing is great. Well, I don't hate it. It's definitely something. What do you think? I don't hate it. It's got loads of areas here where it has just that little hint of black. Huh. Okay, I think I might have enough prints with this color, and I really want to clean this. You like it? Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't hate it. What does Gina K say? It's better than awful. Nina. Okay. My other paper up there, so it's a little bit thicker. This isn't actually Nina, it's a no-name brand that I have here, but I've had in my cupboard. So it's 60, it says 65. I don't know how much thicker. I'm just going to bring it out and see if it's thicker than copy paper. I don't really know what the weight of copy paper is. Yeah, it's definitely thicker than copy paper. So we're going to put a layer of, I'm going to do the cream. I think I'm going to use the Stamperia cream. It's nice and fluent. See, that looks awful, but it doesn't transfer. Once the paint dries, it dries. Put a good little helping of that down there. And I'm standing up for this one because I want to see if I can get the edges a little bit cleaner so that our next set of colors, and if it doesn't come clean, that's okay too. Some of the best pulls are from remnants of stuff left on the jelly press from sessions gone by. So you want to get it, if you've never jelly printed before, you just want it to the point where it's almost like translucent or tacky. You don't want it like slippery wet. And I'm just going to use one of my clean brayers just for some extra pressure around the edges. So I'll really have to think. I know like I said, I know the journaling page is going to be January. So January is going to be either written, stamped, or alphabet die cuts on there. And I might use some of my jelly press paper to do that with. So the word January, I want to incorporate which number this card was and kind of the colors. It says the colors on the back. It says white, smoke, blue, gray, steel blue, ultraviolet. And then these numbers are for digital artists. I guess it's a particular number that if you are in the digital artistry world, you're able to color match digitally with what you see on that card. And the other thing you can do when you have white paper, if I pull that white paper off, flip my gel plate, you can kind of see what's under there, what should pull from your plate. So if you ever want a preview of what you're going to be pulling, you just flip your plate over and take a peek underneath. Oh, my paper's starting to stick now. I waited too long. So I'm glad this is happening. So you can see what happens when you wait too long. So that's what's happened. And I ruined that piece. And I think I'm just going to take a piece of baby white. I never had this happen before, so I'm glad it did. And just soften that paper. You can clean your jelly plates if you want with baby wipes or like soapy water. I usually don't. But that was an instant, and that was the thicker paper. So maybe using copy papers is a good thing, or I just left it on too long. Nothing like the real thing, hey? I bought a set for our granddaughter who was oh, she loves them? I bet you she does. Because that would be ideal if you're in that sort of business. Because I can't imagine the combination of colors that you have, pardon me, that you have at your disposal as a graphic designer. Now, all my sessions jelly printing, this is the first time I had paper stick. That's the first time I used that off-brand paper. So I don't think I'm going to be using that again. But look, I definitely got my edges cleaned. But that is what happens if you don't pull it off when it's still wet. It will stick. You could soak it in water. Pardon me, I'm going to have to get a little drink. I don't know if I would soak it per se, but I could certainly put, because this is just a baby wipe, so something of that dampness. I have a pan of water right beside me, but I think I'm just going to continue doing this, because it does come off pretty easy once it's a little damp. I'm just being impatient. But I think we got enough pulls with these colors, because we don't need like a tremendous amount. Again, it's all in my head as to what this journaling class is going to look like, but we're not going to lay down full sheets, or at least that's not my intention. We're going to pull strips. When I say pull strips, we're just going to rip strips of paper and place them, and then use distress inks or something like that to fill in the spaces, or maybe paints. We might use our same paint colors. So I'm not going to put them away so that I can have them. Don't be horrified. I'm just throwing this on the floor. It's my little craft space so I can vacuum it up after. There. That's pretty good. And I think what I'm going to do is take it right off of this paper. And I'm going to put it, you can also leave, it comes between two sheets of paper, 2 sheets of plastic, and that's what you're going to store it on when you're done. So you can also put it on a sheet of that. There. Well, that was an ordeal. Little intercession. So, this is what we have with our color palettes of the blues. So this was our color palette. And really that is so dark, like it's a dark, dark navy, but it could be close to the black. What happens during a live stays during the live. I'm okay with making mistakes or fumbles, because that's part of learning, right? And any crafter or teacher that ever comes before you, if they give you the impression everything works out perfect for them, then I would challenge that. Some of my best discoveries were made from mistakes. So that has a Tim Holtz feel. Well, you know I love him, right? Anybody watch his live today? With his new dies, I want them all. Oh, heck no. So, that was our color palette. I think we did a pretty good job overall with sticking to our color palette. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets to use. So I am very happy with that. And that will be more than enough. Plus, our stars. Like, I was just going to put them down as masks, but they took on the color of the ink that we had. So I think that's just a happy addition. I really like that. So that's pile 1. So pile 2, so I'm going to put these colors aside. Awesome job, Sherry. Thanks. And I see a little hair or something on my gel press, but I don't know if it's on the plastic because these are so translucent. I can't say that word. No, that was a little piece of hair. It's okay. So I'm going to leave the black. An excellent workshop, Sherry. Aw, thank you. Well, that was just the first color palette. We have 2 more to go. So this is the next one. These are the next colors. So this is supposed to be February. And like I said, I'm not a pinky girl, although I do have some pink paints, but I don't really like them. But if I'm forced to use them, I will. So we have, what do they say they are? Burgundy, scarlet, French rose, apricot, and copper. So let's see how close we can come to that. And for those with the cards, it's 039. Now I am going to your brayers. Most of them come apart so that you can soak them. I say that as I'm grunting to pull this one apart. Oh, there we go. So you can just soak it in water, which I'm doing because I have extra. So these are the colors. I have this cardinal red, which is Stamperia, gold, Stamperia, nougat, which is Stamperia. What other ones do I have here? Oh, this is more of the sparks. Look at this one. It's kind of gold coppery. That's going to be fun. I have a red, just the Deco Art paper. And then these 2 are kind of watery. I was doing some experimenting with paints a while back, and I was following this lady that does a lot of mixed media art, and she uses these quite a bit. So this is Antiquing Cream, Tantum White. They're quite fluidy though, so I'm not sure how they're going to work. And this one is called Raw Umber, so like a brownish. So let's see. Let's dive right in with the red. Oh, please tell me I don't have to. Nope. I was going to say if I have to fight with the paper on these, I might have to take a mental break. That's red. That's really red. But it is February. And like I put quite a bit of paint down and it's drying really fast, so that tells me my house is very dry right now. So I don't want all of that down there. So let me see what we have for large stencil. Maybe I can show you the stamping. So this is a large one. I don't think I have, oh, I do have the name. It's something Crafters Workshop. The Crafters Workshop, I guess it would be called. So I'm going to try to lift some of that red from in between there. Because I definitely don't want to look like a murder scene on our piece of paper with all that red. Oh, but that is pretty. Isn't that pretty? I like that. Oh, I have 2 pieces of paper. That's a good start. And what do we want to, maybe we'll put some of the sparkles. I'm watching for now. We'll save and play later. Awesome, Colleen. Now you might see me with, and this is a little tip, You already know I live at a very dry home. So whenever I have mediums like this, and this one is quite old, I'd say this bottle has been open now for almost 3 years, so I'll be surprised if it's still usable. But you get longer life, shelf life, whenever you open jars that have a wide mouth like this that has a little bit of thickness. If you put some saran wrap, oh, and that is still good. Groovy. No, that's still really good. There's some hard stuff along the edges, but that is still really good. Now I need something. I'm going to take one of these plastic pellet knives. So yeah, so when I'm done this, I'm going to clean up this outer edge. That's not usable because it's too thick. So let's get that out of the way. I need to put down a clean piece of brayer paper as well. I'm just going to move this to the side so the chunks aren't falling on my stencil. But yeah, like almost 3 years old, and that is still a healthy jar of what's left of it, because I have used this a lot. A little goes a long way, of Sparks. It's a Finnabar product. And it is very rich and shiny. I've used this a lot. I'm just going to put the cover on it for now, but I'll put saran wrap on it later. I've used this a lot in any of my mixed media pieces that I've done with Finnabar products. Oh, I don't know if you guys see that shine, but that is pretty. Very pretty. Very shimmery. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I like that. I got so excited I forgot to show you the stamping through the stencil. We'll do it again. I am going to put this one in water though, and we'll use a different one. Okay, so we have to like give that a minute to kind of dry. It's very shimmery. Your brayer paper looks cool too. They do get pretty nice, and I have been known to keep the brayer papers, but this one I kind of got stuff stuck on it, so I am going to trash it. But look at that. That's art in itself. This is the piece that I had my gel print sitting on, so we'll use that. Okay, so what color do we want to pull that off with? We have a choice of, I think I'm going to go to the Nougat, which is a lighter brown. The Nougat will be on the bottom. It looks like you're covering it all, which you are, but it's actually going to be on the bottom of your paper, so it's only going to show through any white areas. Oh, that's why I put it on paper and I didn't leave it on the plastic. It's because it slides. I knew there must have been a reason. We're not going to do the mistake we did last time and leave it on too long. But, so you got to keep testing it. And I'm back to the copy paper. I'm not back to that thicker paper. Oh, that's nice. And that, it's pretty similar to these colors. Could use some of the darker color in there, so the next ones we do, we'll have to try to get some darker prints, but that is very nice. Okay, we'll put that one aside. So let's see what this titanium white is. Like I said, I've never used it before. Well, I've used it before, but not in this fashion. And it's the Deco Art Antiquing Cream Titanium White. It is very watery. I don't even know if it will stick to the plate. Love those colors. Yeah. Yeah, no, like this is very watery. It might dry on the plate, which might do something, but the antiquing paint is not going to do anything for color. But I might be able to pick up, it might give me enough stick that I can pick up on top of the first print. The other thing you can use on your plate is like gel, matte gel, like the stuff that we use to stick down our paper and our journals and stuff. It's like a glue. You can certainly use that too. It didn't really do too much. It lifted a little bit of the color, but it really didn't do too much. So I know those two, the antiquing creams, they're just too fluidy. So I'm going to put them aside. And then I have another red here, but I think I'll tone down this red with some white. So we'll put some red and we'll put some white. I know that's going to make pink, and I said I'm not a pink girl, but let's see. I kind of like the mixture of the two though. So this is another stencil, and it's just a bunch of words. So I'm going to put it on, I think this is how you do it. You put it on backwards whenever you're using word stencils. You lay it on backwards so when you do your pull, it's right facing. Let's see if I got that right. And I'm going to just get the ink up from as much of the holes as I can. And look, that's cool too. I'm surprising myself. And that's what it is with gel printing. Is you think, oh my God, that's going to be awful. It's going to be a mess. But it may not be a mess. So you have to try it. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out one of my archival ink pads. Use the black, and I'm going to see if I can do a little bit of stamping in here. The openings aren't large. Maybe I'll wait till the next one. I'll pick a better stencil with better openings, because then you can stamp in between and you can get some texture from that. And this is why, ladies, you want, and gentlemen, you want lots of stencils in your stash. This is my bucket is getting quite full. Okay, we never used this one. This is the Stamperia Gold. So another shimmery gold. Ooh, that's nice. You can just tell the difference in paints. Like the Deco Art cheap paints, you know, they slide on. They'll give you color, but when you move, like I have to use quite a large bit of it because they're watered down. But when you get into this paint, what I put on was really too much. Now some bubble wrap is your friend for a little bit more texture. And then we're going to see if we can pull this. at the end of the day today, I'll take a picture of all the different prints that we did. Oh, this pulled rather nice. See, paint. It's the paint quality. That's kind of pretty. It's got red and gold. I'm really looking for like a dark brown though, like to complete our color palette. I wonder if we did a little nougat and a little black. Would those form a dark brown? Let's see. Don't know? Try it. I'm just going to put a little bit of black in there. It's making kind of a dirty nougat. It's not what you call brown, it's more like a gray. I can't believe I don't have any brown paint in my stash, but I don't. I have lots of ink, so when it comes to the journaling part of it, I'll certainly be able to add brown. But I want to show you pulling using a stamp. So this stencil is it's a number stencil. It's just all kinds of numbers. So if I take a background stamp, and you need something that has a tiny texture, so here's one. And this is why, like, some stamps that I have, I will dedicate just to gel print, because any little bitty words like this will, having paint on it, I'll never get them clean enough to then pick up ink to transfer nicely. So this is one way you can use your stamps, is if you have a stencil with large enough openings, you can press your stamp in it and it will lift the paint within those openings to reveal your stamp. My paint is starting to dry, but I am able to lift some, but you need to do it in perspective to size. So the tinier the opening, the tinier the print of the stamp needs to be. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can see all the numbers on there. So what color next? I think I'm going to go back to the Cardinal Red. That was a very pretty red. I'm not a red person, but it was nice. And that's the Stamperia paint. So I have to be mindful that I'm not going to need as much of it as what I would if it was the cheaper paints. And Stamperia paints aren't that expensive, but you just tend to gravitate sometimes to the cheap stuff, and you think, oh, it will be good enough, and you don't always know the difference until you get to use something of a higher quality that's made to do what it is you want it to do. What else? Maybe this is where I'll take that same stamp and do some black. So it's not going to be a perfect image because my stamp has and I don't want to contaminate my stamp pad, so I'm making sure that I'm stamping it off in case I picked up any paint before I go back in my stamp pad. How you doing out there? Am I keeping your attention? I know it's a lot of repetition of lifting and pulling, but that's kind of what makes you comfortable in doing it, is just repetition. One more down here. I think that's going to be good. Oh, well, how about that stamp? We'll add that to it. I'm just going to throw those back in my bucket. I'm just going to give it a moment for that to dry. I'm watching and listening as I'm creating the next newsletter. Yay, I was wondering when the next newsletter would come out. And for this one, I think I'm going to go back to the old ivory to pull this print from. And I'm standing up a lot. I find it's easier for me to put the pressure on that I need to when I stand up. If you do any YouTubing on gel press printing, there's some fantastic artists out there, and they use magazine pages. It's hard to come across a magazine with ads, but they'll use the ads where they have the people in them, and I'm sure it has to be like a laser print, but they'll put the magazine print down on their gel press, and they're able to transfer the image onto their paper. It's absolutely amazing. Like I said, magazines are hard to come by now, let alone getting them to tear them up. Judy, I can't wait to try this now. I didn't think I'd be into it, but it looks like fun. It is fun. It is fun. The only inhibiting factor is if with every pull you're like, oh, I hate it, I don't like it. You just got to give it some time. And if you don't like the first pull, then just put the paper aside, let it dry, and see what the next one will look like. Well, I got in some of that brown color. Remember I said it looked more like a dirty nougat? That's the color of it, was nougat. But it actually came out brown. Maybe the red, adding the red to it, brought out the brown tones. Huh, like that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have just one with words, so maybe I'm going to put, I really like this sparks, the glitter. I think I'm going to do one more using that, but it's going to have to be through a stencil. And just going to dab it here and there because I'll use my sponge to put it down. These sparks are really, really nice. And like I said, they're old. Don't want to use that one. Let me see if I can get another sponge. I can't remember where I put my sponges. Don't want to use, I thought I had a couple extra here, but I'll use the other side. And I won't do every area, but I'll hit some of them. And I want it really concentrated in some areas. Yeah, it is quite fun, and you just have to have an open mind, and if there's prints that you just really, really hate, stick them in a drawer, but don't throw them out. And the next time you're just doing die cutting, whether it be like little circles or squares, take from the stuff that you really didn't like, and it looks completely different when you cut it down to another size. Okay, I just want a little bit more up here. don't forget the saran wrap trick. I use it for any wet medium that's in a jar, whether it be textured paste, glues, gels, whatever. Now I'm wondering if I shouldn't do, now I got purple fingers, if I shouldn't do another color in between there. Maybe I will do, no, I don't want that. Maybe some old, no, I don't think I want the old ivory. I'll pull this red back in and we'll do a little bit of red. I'm just going to put a little bit over there. We'll fill in the other spaces with the red. And then we'll do a pull. We'll cover it all with white and we'll do a pull. I think that's going to be cool. Now you can also pick up paint from within a stencil. So like you can stencil on top of a stencil if your circles or your spaces are large enough. I'll show you what I mean. I find showing is easier than trying to explain it. So I'm going to take my spongy thing and just going to dab it inside of some of the red spaces. So you can't see it, but I know that it's building texture on that plate. Oh, I can definitely see it on the gold. And put that one to soak. And it really doesn't take you long to clean up afterwards. If you're organized beforehand, it really doesn't take long to clean up. And to clean my stencils, I just take them to the sink and lay them flat on the bottom, and either with a cloth, but it can't be like it can't be a fibrous cloth because it will stick in the stencils. But you can use, like, if you have like a soft scrubby pad, just gently in circular motions, and then I clean my stencils that way. Okay, dry little print, dry. We're going to put down some of this white. I don't think I'm going to put it over my words. I'm going to use a new one. I can't wait for you to try it neither, Judy. And please, share with us when you try it. Let us know what your challenges have been, what your successes have been, and just don't give up. And I said at the beginning, gel printing is not for the faint of heart. It's you gotta just be in it to enjoy it. Okay. And then we'll move on to our last color palette. I think I'm going to save this piece though, because it has more of that brownish colors on it. I didn't. Haha, that's a nice one. I do like that. It's red, so you can see a little bit of that dirty brown down there in the end. I do like that one. Okay, I'm going to take our word one back. Ooh, Diana. Yeah, that one looks nice. And I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit more, but we're not going to do like I did last time and use the other cardstock. I'm just going to stick with the copy paper. I've used Neenah before and I didn't have a problem. And I do have Neenah here, I just didn't take it out. So I grabbed that package, it was on top. And it was stuff I got at Michael's, I do believe. Okay. And this, what I did is I just put down some gray because there's still a lot of color and prints on the bottom, to see if we can get it a little bit cleaner before we go to our next palette of colors. That's not too bad. Oh, but this goodness in the corners, like this part here, when it finally does come up, it's going to look fabulous on a print. So even that looks pretty good. So that was the piece that I had brought the word stencil through in the beginning, but it picked up enough gold bits and then some grungy bits on the bottom that that's going to look really nice. So you can imagine, like if you had a, if this is for February, so if we do some die cutting with hearts, if you picked a piece right here and did a heart, or even right here, you're going to get some of that black grunge, some of that goldy sparkly in the red and the white, and it will look completely different with a die cut, a small die cut, than what it does on a whole piece of paper. Take my word for it. Okay, so this was our color palette for this one. So we got this one, we got this one, this one, I really like that one, this one, and this one. So I think we did pretty good. We are pretty close to our color palette in that. Yay! So we'll put those ones aside. Pick up these paints. I'll leave the ivory, I'll leave the white. Hi Heather, I was going to say hi everyone. It's Heather. So, this is our last color palette. So we have chocolate, apricot, mint, dark green, and black. So this is for March. So here I have quinacridone. It's kind of like a burnt orange. I don't know what that one will look like. But I have a green. I have, this is a fluid acrylic, it says. So it's pretty thick but wet in there, so I don't know what that one's going to look like. And then I have a minty color. And then I have the Deco Art primitive color. And then I still have the ivories and the blacks over there. So I'm going to give these some shakes, shakety shakes. How you doing, Heather? We're on our last set of color palette. It's been fun. The girls have experienced my problems, my problem areas, reeling in focus. Betty's doing good. That's good. This feels like there's a big hunk of paint in the middle, so I don't know how well that one's going to do. I haven't used my paints in some time. shame on me. But we experienced the good paints, Heather, which is definitely the Stamperia and the Dylusions. Their paints are fabulous. So I'll be scooping myself up some more of them. Okay, I think I want to just start with this green. And I know we're going to get some poles with still some red into it, which I'm okay with, because remember, we're not going to use the full sheet of paper in our journaling. The pigment in acrylic, yes, the pigment, and it's the viscosity for gel printing. The DecoArt ones, they're really runny, and they definitely don't stand up as well as the others. And that Dylusion purple one that I got, holy moly, the sparkle in it, the shimmer paint, very, very nice. Okay, I think I'm just going to start with a straightforward pull, just because we still have some stuff down there from our last one, just to see what I get. Still not going to come off, but it will eventually. And like I said, I will not be cleaning my plate. I cleaned my plate when my paper stuck, and that's the first time I've ever cleaned my plate. I like that green. It's a little bit lighter than our color palette, but I really like it. And I like the bits that it picked up. So that's a keeper. What are you saying, Heather? Do you have the larger stencil and the plastic tools in stock? Oh, Karen's asking. The plastic tools, is this what you're, this is the Dana Wakley Media. They're rubber tipped, so it lets you make some designs. We should try those. I'm going to put down a little bit of this. This is more like a minty green, but I'm going to lift some of it up with a stencil. It's really, again, I didn't have colors that match the color palette all that well. I probably should have checked first, see what colors I had, but I went to my color box first. And it's just for an idea, so I'm okay with whatever we end up with. We'll work with it. Let me see what stencil I have set aside here. Here's a doily one. So we can pull just from here. I'm going back to the original one. I just want to get some of that color up so you can see some spots. And I'll place it down there again. We'll put the same sheet. So we're kind of building on this one. It's funny how it looks like baby blue. Oh, the gel press. Yes, it does, doesn't it? And it could be baby blue by now because the first color was this green, and then I put down this other green. It's called patina over it, so it probably did change the color. Yeah, I want to dot there. Look at that. So we added some color here. So that will be good. And I may as well finish it off in this corner. There. So we're just going to give this a minute to dry. And then I'm going to try this primitive brown, it's called. But yeah, I got to get myself some better paints. I mean, these aren't doing too bad, that's for sure. And that's the other thing I like about gel printing, is there's so much that you just have around that you can use, and you can try anything, and it's not going to hurt it. Like I said, if you do YouTube and just search gel printing, the stuff some people put on their gel plates is nuts. But I think what we'll do next time is use our alcohol inks. I think that will be fun. I've used them before, but not like in a full-on session. So I think the next 3 months that we do in the color palette, I'll pull alcohol inks. And those I do have a lot of. So I should be able to. Crafters Workshop, yes, those are those big stencils that I was showing you. I said it was TC Crafters Workshop. Yeah, TCW, that's what they are. And those are fantastic stencils with the large openings to pull from. Because then you can do so much more other stuff in there. Oh, this one's nice. It's kind of more minty green. To you, I know it looks like baby blue. And even to me, it kind of looks more baby blue than green. But I can definitely see the green coming out. And look, some gold that was still left on the plate from before. I always love the edges. The edges of the pulls are always my favorite, because of all that stuff. Like, we need to get that up. Could be the sparklets dried on there, but I love it. Okay, I'm going to try this quinacridone orange. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. Ooh, I think it's going to be quite vibrant. Gives us that rusty brown feel though. Yeah, that's a different color. What other stencil? This is another Crafters Workshop. This one's been well loved on prints. So we're just going to, I think I'm gonna, no, I don't think I want to take that one because I like that color. You can tell if I'm here by myself, I still mumble and talk and say what I like and what I don't like out loud. Oh, it dried pretty fast. Nothing's really coming up from that. So what I think I'll do is I'll build some color on top of it. I don't think I want that one. Maybe we'll go back to the old ivory. This is a Stamperia one. Like, you can just hear how nice and thick that is. And what's nice about the larger stencils too is it covers the whole plate. So it does allow you the ability to use your brayer and not be so dependent on a sponge to get into the crevices because the openings are a little bit larger. put too much on there. But we'll give it a good coat. So you can see why I don't take time and clean my stencils in between pulls, because all you'd be doing is cleaning stencils for your time that you've allotted for your art. Ooh, I think that's going to be pretty. And having them soaking in a bucket of water will make cleanup very easy. Okay, I think we need to put a green down. And I'm a little bit nervous as to what kind of muddiness we're going to get. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to put some more of these Finnabar Sparks. Do you have these, Heather? It's you that I got them from, I know that. And they are fabulous on this gel press. Yes, we have lots of sparks. Well, I'm telling you, I was telling the viewers that this jar is close to 3 years old. And what I do is I put saran wrap inside of it and press the saran wrap until it's touching the surface. I do that with anything, any of my mixed media products that are in a jar, and it prevents it from drying out. And it just keeps them so nice. Well, you got sparks, that's good, because they look fabulous in prints. Okay, so that's drying up really fast. And I think we'll do white as our top coat, and then we'll pull it. This one I'm anxious for. I think this one's going to be a pretty one too. Yeah, I'm going to go shopping when I'm done here and pick up some colors that I don't have. And I'm going to be throwing out some ones that I do have that have tested and was not happy with. Well, maybe this one isn't going to be as pretty as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I don't hate it, but it's certainly not, that orange did nothing for our color palette. This one goes more with the February color palette than this one. But what is Press and Seal? Press and Seal is our saran wrap. Press and Seal, I don't know if you can buy it here, but it's an American product. It's actually Jennifer Maguire's husband invented Press and Seal. And if you watch her videos, that's why she promotes it so much. But it is the same thing as our saran wrap. But you might be able to get Press and Seal here. Same kind of idea. There is some green here, so I might cut this in half and use half for February and leave this portion in for our green. So I know that quinacridone is not a good mix. What else can I use for green? I'll be relying on my distress paints and my distress inks for bringing out the green that we have in our color palette. I'm going to try this. This is fluid acrylic. Oh, it is at Walmart. It's like wax paper, but it sticks. This is very fluidy. Yeah, this is like the other ones that we had. It's really not going to do anything but wet my gel plate. But I'll pick up this. You should try some stencil butters on there, Sherry. See what they look like. Let me see. I did use Lunar Paste. We did the Lunar Paste and it was fabulous. Let me see if I got any stencil butters. All my paints are right below me, so I'll just pull this off. Oh, well, it did leave us with a little bit of a green hue. So it is a little bit of a green hue. Let me see what I got down here, my tickle junk. I can't bring you guys down here with me. But I do have, let me see what I have. I have lots of the Finnabar. More of the Sparks. I don't think I have any of the stencil butters, Heather. I'm sure they would be really nice. Yeah, I don't think I got them because I still had some of the other products. What I do have are these Finnabar, which I didn't take out. It's called Rust Effect Paste. Let's try that. That might give me some green. I have 3 packages of it and I've never used it. And they're all a different color palette. And again, I'm sure I got them from your store a while back. Rust Effect is very thick. Well, if it works on the gel plate, then we know stencil butters definitely will. Let's give it a try. It's great on metal and silicone molds. Well, it's definitely green. I have green. I have some yellow. It comes in a package and it shows you this old car, and of course anything that's vintage like Sherry is drawn right to it, and I just haven't used it. But let's see what it does. And this is it says like an oxide, like a black, this one, a gray. This might work. Let's try it. You layer the colors on top of each other to create the rust look. Well, we're going to see what it does on the gel plate. And what a sin. Look, I haven't even opened these, and already they're drying out, but I've had them in my stash for some time, so it's only my own fault. I'm willing to try whatever here today, and I'm limited for green, so let's try it. Oh, it is thick. It's definitely green. If it doesn't work, I'll be the first to tell you. That's how thick it is. I'm just going to try the one layer. I think it has some sand or something in it. Well, it definitely gave me olivey green, and it pulled up some of the red. It's not horrible. I'm not going to try another color though. I'm going to try something a little bit more fluid. So we'll go back to this screen to see if we can pull some more of it up. could see why it would stick on molds. Now put the next layer on the plate and use the same. Well, it's quite dry and there's like a little bit of sandy particles in it or something that's textured. So let me pull this one up first and then we'll add the next layer, which would be the gold, I'm thinking. It's coming. Let's do this one. I'm game for anything. And then there's the third paint. Yeah, so that's the dark gray kind. They're calling it dark gray, so that's a paint. Okay, I got you now. Yeah, they are pretty thick. Now this one has no texture in it, this yellow. Well, maybe it does, and it's just because I can see it when I'm rolling it out. Well, this went in a different direction than I was anticipating, but gosh, it's fun. I think I'm going to throw this brayer, well, I'll do the next layer and then I'll throw my brayer in the water. This is cool. Nice for the masculine things. Yes, you'll have to go back and watch it from the first. We got some really nice pulls. Okay, and this is the last one. Well, they all pretty much have that sandy component to them. Well, this is going to be interesting. But yeah, I could definitely see how it would build up that texture. Look at that. Definitely looks like that old buggy. I do have the Tim Holtz steel rule die of the old jalopy. I bet you that cut out on chipboard and this over it would be some nice. It actually looks to me like an olive green. The light isn't doing it quite justice. Well, let's pull this and then I'll put a layer of paint and we'll pull that off. Oh gosh, we've been at it 2 hours. Well, that's quite dark and that's keeping with that dark green on the end, so I do like that. I don't know if it's going to flake off though because of whatever the material is, but we'll put that aside. Now we're going to finish up with this off-white color. See if we can get a good pull. I'm going to put that right in water. Good thing I have lots of brayers. That's why you need lots of brayers. And I didn't get them all at once. I picked them up a few here and there. Pull the color off each time, 3 steps. I getcha. We got some really nice prints though. This March one, well, I might have to do a rerun for myself before our journal class once I get some green paints. But we'll see. I might just go with what I have and see how it works out. Oh, I do like this. I do like the color. I do like that. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it well, but what I'm seeing is ivory, kind of like this green, and a little bit of the darker green, and closer to that nougat color. So that is going to be lovely for our color palette for March. And there's still lots left on the plate, so I'm going to try it again. And this time I will try the old ivory. And then if there's still stuff left on the plate, I'm going to try black. Actually, I'm thinking I didn't do very many stencils for this one. So I'm going to pull another stencil out. This is a Vicki Boutin. And just lift some of this color from in between. Ooh, that's nice. The sun's gone down, so I think it's affecting the color that you're seeing. Because I have a big window behind me. But I do like that. I like that one very much. I do have the gold. I do have the gold. So maybe should we finish with the gold to lift the entire thing? I love all stencils. Like, I'm sure the president could make a stencil and I'd buy it. I love stencils. I'll have to introduce you to my stash at some point. But again, if you're like joining, I know Younique has a great deal on a lot of stencils right now, which is awesome to build your stash. Especially if you want to dedicate some to just gel printing, which it is very convenient. If you have one bin with all your gel printing stuff in it, it makes the process a lot easier. Let's see. Are you all anxious to see what's under there? I am. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So see what happens when you just try. And again, it's this tone of green, some gold, some darkness, even a little bit of brown from our previous pulls. I like those colors. And we have enough here to do one more pull. I said I was going to do black, but because there's so much open space, we would just see black. So I'm going to go back to white. Gorgeous. Yeah, I do like that one a lot. And I was trying to figure out why this edge wouldn't pull, and it's because the sparks dried on it, because nothing was sticking to it in order for it to pull. So there must have been something in the sparks, because it's just flaking off. Because I was wondering why I couldn't get that edge to pull, but that was why. But let's see if we can get the rest of these edges. And if not, it will be some nice stuff on there for my next session. Oh, way too much paint. This is what too much paint looks like. And if I tried to pull this now, it would be no harm, but I still would be left. Looking forward to seeing your journal pages with these papers. I'm looking forward to you guys participating and seeing what we come up with together, because it won't be, I mean, I'll have some ideas in my head, but it won't be created in advance. It'll be created with you, just like these were. So you get to see me doing things, trial and error for you. I'm just going to pull that one right fast because I didn't get my edge over here. Oh, see, it's all those dirty little bits that I like. And once you die cut it, or you just rip the paper and you add it, it just adds so much. You may not think, just little bits. You could make some beautiful die cuts. You are very correct. And that's why I don't throw them away. I might hate them. I might pull them and say, oh, I hate it. I've never thrown away a print. That's pretty good. And there's still a little bit of grunge there, which I will work on. So for our last color palette, we have this one. We have this one, which is really nice. Bits on this one, which are really nice. This one, again, really nice. This one has that sandy texture though, so I can feel it as it dries. It kind of peels off. So I'll wait until this page is all dry, and then I'll just kind of weight my hands over it to get up those bits. We have this one, which is really nice for that dark texture, and even some of this one. And that was it. So I think we've done really good today. I'm going to show you. Proof is in the pudding. So when I say I don't throw away my prints, I don't. I have this basket that hangs off of the top of one of my drawers, and these are all past gel prints. And I keep them so that when I need one, like I might be able to pull some of these for our projects coming up for the journaling, because this is the purple that might go with the winter. Like there's some nice reds. So like I save them, and they're just, even the ones that look really ugly, I save them, because that cutout for a gear, like if you have a gear die, would look fabulous. Or a car die, or those Tim Holtz men that I showed you on my cards the other night. I never thought about going to my stash and cutting the die cut men out from my gel prints. Those would have been really nice. So like, you know, I keep them, and when I need something with a little bit of texture and color, I look in that basket. And I've even kept, this is an old, before I had so many brayers, I used to have to wash off my brayer. This is a dried up piece of baby wipe that has some fantastic color onto it that I just didn't throw away. I keep it in that basket because you just never know when you need a little bit of extra color. Well guys, that is it for me for today. Today was a long one, so thank you for sticking with me, and I look forward to what we create together in our journaling class. I will post some pictures of our finished products. You're most welcome, Erin. It was my pleasure. I was looking forward to this very much. Talk soon. Bye-bye.